Hi everyone, in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how I made this tube bustier with strap, and the skirt part of this dress, the mermaid part of it, is already up on the channel. Please check it out, okay? And I'm also going to be using bust dart for this bustier, so let's get started. To begin, I have my pattern paper here. Okay, I've gone ahead to rule out my starting line, which will also serve as my shoulder line. I place my tape there right at the starting line, and I'm going to take my bust point. The bust point I'll be working with is 10.5 inches, and also I'll go ahead to take my under bust point of 13.5, and the waist point is 17.5 inches. Okay, but I'm going to be marking 18 inches, including the half inch is going to serve as a sewing allowance. Okay, so I'll go ahead to rule out a straight line, horizontal line across the points I made. Next, I'll be taking my shoulder measurement. I'm working with shoulder measurement of 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 is going to give me 8 inches. I'll go ahead to mark 8 inches at that point, and then I'll take my neck width, which is 3 inches, and neck depth of 3 inches. I'll go on and create a curve around that point. We won't actually be needing the neckline because we are creating a tube bustier, but it's going through this process is going to make it easy for beginners to follow step by step. So next, I'm going to mark my shoulder slant. Okay, I'll come down at my shoulder point by 1 inch, and I'll rule a line connecting to the neck width. Then I'll go on to mark my armhole depth, which is 7.7. Go on and divide your bust measurement by 6 inches, and add 1.5 to your answer. I'll go on and roll a straight line across. That line is going to serve as my chest line. So I'll label it. I have my bust point, I have my under bust, and then the waistline. Now I'll get the midpoint of my armhole depth. Just place your tape this way, fold it, and mark the midpoint. At that midpoint, I'm going to come in by ½ inch. So to create my armhole curve, I'm going to go ahead to divide my bust measurement of 37 inches by 4. I have 9.25. I marked it at that point, and I'll go on to connect this dot to create my armhole curve. I'll go ahead to mark my dart line, which is the measurement from one nipple to the other nipple, and divide by 2. For this client is 8 inches, and I'm going to divide that by 2 to give me 4 inches. So I'll be marking 4 inches at my waistline, my under bust line, and at my bust point. I'll go on and rule a straight line from my bust point to my waistline. I'll also go over to my shoulder to create a dart line at that point as well. So I'll take the midpoint of my shoulder, I'll mark it, and rule a line connecting from that point into the bust point. This line is going to guide us in taking our over bust tightening. So now I'll go ahead to take my under bust tightening. I'll be taking out 2 inches. I'm working with bust measurement of 37 inches, so I'm using 2 inches. I'm taking 1 inch at both sides of the line. I'll also do same thing at the waistline. If you're working with a bigger bust of like 40 inches, you can use 2.5, and smaller bust of 34 inches, you can use 1.5. So I'll go ahead and connect my line from the under bust to the waist point. Then I'll go over to my bust point and come down by 1 inch. From that 1 inch point, I'm going to create a curve connecting to my under bust line. I'll go over to my chest line to take my neckline at that point. I'll be going up from the chest line by 1.5 inches. You can choose to go up by 2 inches or by 3 inches. It depends on how much coverage you want around your bust. Then I'll come down to my bust point and go up by 0.7 inch. Then I'll go over to that 1.5 inches I went up by at the chest line, and then I'm going to be taking my over bust tightening around that part using 1.5 inch. I'm going to be sharing it on equally, half inch into the part leading to the middle, while 1 inch into the part leading to the armhole. I'll go on to rule a straight line connecting those dots to the bust point. You want it to be not too curvy and not too straight. So yeah, just the way I marked it at that point. So next I'll go on to rule the line to create the neck curve, to create a sweetheart neckline. So I'm going to be connecting from that 1.5 inch to the 0.7 inches, and then I'm going to be connecting it again into the armhole to create that sweetheart neckline. So now you might want to come down by half inch at the armhole if you're going to be attaching like a yoke to this. But I won't be attaching the yoke to mine, so I'll maintain the actual armhole point. But if you're going to attach, this is how to go about it. I'll be marking my body measurement at this point. I'll divide my bust measurement of 37 inches by 4, and I'm going to mark what I have there, which is 9.25. I'll also be replacing the dart measurement I took. I took that of 1.5. I'll be replacing 1 inch. This is to avoid gaping completely. And then I'll go on to add my sewing allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll do same thing at the underbust. Divide my underbust of 31 inches by 4. I'll replace the dart of 2 inches, and then I'll add my sewing allowance of 1.5. I'll do same thing at my waist measurement, divide it by 4, replace the dart of 2 inches and add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. I'll go ahead to mark my line connecting these dots. Now after this, the next thing I'll be doing is to take my bust dart. Okay, now the bust dart is the difference between the front waistline and the back waistline. Usually the front waistline is longer than the back, so it's advisable you take them separately. The front waist point I'm working with is 17.5, while the back waist point is 15.5. The difference is 2 inches. I'm going to come down at my bust point by 2 inches and roll a line connecting to the dart line. These differ from each person. Some people's own can be 1 inch, while others can be 1.5. So take your measurement and work with it accordingly. I'll go on and cut through that bust point line. I'll cut through it very close to the dart line, but don't exceed the dart line. I'll also go down and cut through from the hem into the dart, through the dart line to the bust point as well. Very close, but make sure it doesn't cut off completely. You see, right now you can move it freely. So I'm going to move it like this to cover up that dart line at the bust. I'll use my masking tape to hold it down properly. Now for some people, after moving it like this, you will notice that it will no longer be equal at that side, though mine is equal. But when you have such situation, all you need to do is just to take your ruler and create a line connecting it to meet up with that space there. Now, the reason for taking this bust dart is to avoid, at times when you make your dress, you realize that the back is longer than the front. To avoid that, so you use this technique of bust dart to eliminate that error so that you can have a perfect fit and a better look on your dress. So I'll go on to cut it out now. So if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, do subscribe, like, comment, and share our videos. We have amazing tutorials still coming your way. You won't want to miss out on that. Watch carefully how I'm going about the cutting process of this tube bustier so you don't mess yours up. So this basically what we have. I'll go on to use more masking tape to hold it down very well. And if you want to attach yoke to yours, this is your yoke. Okay, just cut it out this way and place it on your fabric before cutting out. Also, there was something I omitted. I was supposed to take this measurement before cutting out. Okay, where you measure from your sweetheart neckline to the bust point to make sure they are both equal at the center front and at the side front. So for the center front I have 3.5, while for the side front I have 3.5, while for the center front I'm having 2.7. I need to replace it. If you don't do this when sewing, you will be short of fabric. Okay, so I'm going to be attaching this paper. I'll just use my gun to hold it down. So I need to replace by it's short by 1/2 inch. So I'm going to be replacing that 1/2 inch at the center front of our bustier. So I'll go all by 1/2 inch at that point. And I'll blend it in. So now we have 3.5 at both sides. When you sew, it's going to align properly now. You can see. I'll quickly rush through the drafting process of the back pattern of our tube bustier. So I went ahead to leave 2 inches to serve as zipper allowance, and I placed my tape at the start line and I marked 10.5 inches for the our bust point, and also the length, the waist point, which is 15.5. I added 1/2 inch for sewing allowance, making it 16 inches. I'll go on and roll a straight line across the point. We don't need under bust at the back. Okay, so we'll just work with our bust point and waist point. I went ahead to take my shoulder measurement of 8 inches and neck width of 3 inches and neck depth of 1 inch. So give it a curve, and then I'll come down at the shoulder point by 1 inch and roll a line connecting to the neck width, which will serve as our shoulder slant. I'll come down by 7.7 inches, which is our armhole depth. Bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. I'll go on and roll a straight line across, which will serve as our chest line. And we have the bust point and the waistline, okay, or waist point. I'll mark the midpoint of my armhole depth, and then I'll take my round under bust divided by 4, which is 9.25. I'll mark it right there, and I will create my armhole curve. So now the next thing is to take my dart, which is from one nipple to the other nipple. I'm working with 8 inches divided by 2, which is 4 inches. I'll mark that at the waistline, the bust point, and the chest line. I'll roll a straight line connecting those dots. Now at the waistline, I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch at both sides of the dart line. And then I'll come up to the chest line and take 1/4 of an inch, that's half an inch at both sides of the chest line, and I'll roll my line connecting the dots. So next I'll take my round under bust, which you already did. I'll take my round waist, 33 divided by 4, which is 8.25. I'll replace the dart measurement. The dart for the chest line is 1/2 inch, while the dart for the waistline is 1 inch. I'll replace it right there. and I'll go on and mark my sewing allowance. You can use 1.5 inch, 2 inches, depends on what you want. So I'll go on and rule a line connecting the dots. Next is to eliminate zipper bulge. At the waistline, I'll come in by 1/2 inch, which will be our rule a line connecting it upward, which is going to serve as our new zipper line. From that line, I'll go on and take 2 inches, which will serve as our zipper allowance. So by doing this, we are going to be eliminating any form of zipper bulge that will happen. So I'll go on and cut it out. And yes, for my neckline, I'm just going to maintain it this way. You can give it a curve if you want. You can create your neckline, but I'm okay with it this way. So this is about the drafting. I'll cut it out at that point as well. I'll cut out the dart. Be joining it together. So the next thing is to place it on my fabric and cut out. So yeah, this is it. I've cut out, placing it on my fabric. I've also gone ahead to add my wording. I also added interfacing. I used air stay. I attached air stay before adding the wording. I also went out to cut out the lining as well. I attached air stay to the lining also for the front and the back. So I added sewing allowance to the upper part, to the neckline of the front and the back. I added sewing allowance at that point. I'll go on and stitch the front and the back. And also for this, I added sewing allowance to the sides and at the upper, the neckline as well. Because I didn't add sewing allowance to the neckline, I added to the sides and the hem. So just go on and stitch. Go over to my sewing machine. I will stitch it and we'll see what we have. So after stitching, this is what we have. This is our tube bustier. You can see how it's looking. I've also added joined the lining together as well. So go on and notch those edge where there is curve so that it can relax better. I'll go over to my sewing machine. I'll give it a good press. You can see I've also joined the neck part, the neckline of the back part. I'll go on and attach and join the sides as well. So you open it up, your bustier, and iron it down this way so it relaxes very well. Then I'll go on to attach the lining and sew it at the neckline. This is what we have. Okay, this is what we have. You can see how the bustier, the two parts, is popping really well. So now I have my strap. This strap is on fold. On fold is 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm not going to be sewing it at the front using my sewing machine. I'll be using needle and thread to sew it from inside because I don't want thread showing at the front parts. So guys, this is basically it. Thank you for staying tuned and watching. Do remain blessed and see you in my next video. Bye.